What's going on, everybody? Thank you all so much for tuning into this live stream. I hope everybody's doing well. Let me know if you can see. Oh, that's cool. I've never seen that before. I guess because my cup is green. But y'all let me know if y'all can hear me okay, if you can see me okay. Sophia, what's going on? Bom dia. Eu não sei onde está todo mundo, mas está um pouco tarde. Mas, you know how it is. I'm on Brazilian time now. I've already accepted it. I've given up a long time ago trying to be on time. Every time I try to be on time in Brazil, I just end up waiting for everybody else. So, you know what? What's going on, people? We should be live right now on Rockfin, on YouTube, on Twitter, on Rumble. Let me make sure we're live on Rockfin, matter of fact. All right, cool. I think we're good everywhere. Y'all, make sure to like this video. Make sure to share this video. I miss you guys. As most of you all know, I did say I was going to be taking a little bit of a break because my mom came to Brazil to visit. So she got to actually see her grandkids for the first time, which was a dope experience, actually. It was really fun. I can't wait to talk about it. I'm looking forward to talking more about it on this next week's Mimosa Monday. But overall, we had a great time. Had a much needed break. Unfortunately, while I was on vacation, all hell broke loose around the world. So can't say, that it was all that relaxing, because there was a point where I was like, oh my God, I had to get back to the show to talk about this. But my mom was adamant that I don't work because, we're both workaholics and it was time to spend some time with the family. So, hey, it's all good. We're back. We got stuff to talk about. A lot of stuff has happened over the last couple of weeks. We can't get to it all today, but I'm going to talk about some of the things that have stuck out to me. Principally, this interview. We're not going to watch the whole thing, but part of this interview with Cenk and Patrick Bet-David, which I find just absolutely hilarious. And you're going to see why in a second. We're going to talk about Israel and their invasion of Syria. I know some of you probably are confused, because why would Syria be invaded by Israel after supposedly the government that was causing Israel the problems has already been conquered? Yeah, that's going to be an interesting conversation too. And finally, a lot of my leftist people are not going to like this, but we got to have a conversation about China. We got to. I'm sorry, guys. We got to, because what the hell? I'm tired of China talking, but the actions from China, and I don't even necessarily mean militarily, but the actions of China are not matching the words in the condemnation. So we're going to have a conversation about that too. First, let's dive into this interview, or at least, like I said, a piece of this interview regarding Cenk, his views of politics lately, and how he feels about how the political landscape changed since over the last couple of years, since Trump's been elected. Biden, then we had Biden, then we got Trump again. Some of you are probably gonna be surprised, because I know I was. But like that, let me go ahead and pull this up for you. I know I was. We're gonna have a conversation about whether y'all believe this is genuine. No, it's not. 1 second. There we go. All right, I think everybody can see that. We good? Y'all make sure to like and share this video.
Right into it. Cenk, are you now a Republican?
Okay, so a lot of people on the left have that theory. The definitive answer is no. So look, I've been a populist all along, and what's fascinating to me is how much politics in America has changed. Because the left-wing populist.
First of all, the fact that he started out I've been a populist all along. That was what I was like, oh, this is about to be one of them. He making that switch. He hitting the pivot. For all my Friends fans out there. I'm not a fan of Friends, but I know the joke. The pivot. Yeah. That's what he just hit on, y'all. Because he was definitely a conservative, first of all. Then he pretended to be a leftist. And since at least the end of the 2016 election, he has been a fucking raging neoliberal. He has not been a populist. In fact, he spent a concerted amount of effort targeting and attacking every actual leftist populist and some conservative populists, well, mostly conservative populists out there. So let's just go ahead. Y'all see where this is going. That boy is hitting a career pivot. My assumption is the money ain't coming in like it was, and them views probably took a hit.
It's like the Bernie Sanders type of guys have been standing a post waiting for our right flank to appear at some point. Because giant things like getting money out of politics, you cannot do alone. The left wing can't do it alone. The right wing can't do it alone. The only way to fix it is an amendment, because you got to go above the Supreme Court. You need 3/4 of the states. So for me, I've always thought, if we don't get united, we're never going to beat the establishment.
Yeah, I heard that correct. We're gonna hit that one. Let me see. If we don't get united, we're never gonna beat this.
Got to go above the Supreme Court. You need 3/4 of the states. So for me, I've always thought, if we don't get united, we're never going to beat the establishment. And the establishment has been my enemy forever and ever and ever. And I wish we had beaten them, through Bernie in 2016 or 2020. And I'm not saying that they're knocked out. I mean, the establishment is gigantic. They've got billions and trillions of dollars, and they're going to make a huge comeback in the 2028 primaries. But on the Republican side, they've largely been defeated. And so here's what my left wing
guys. So we need to review some things real quick. I can't let that continue like that. Ladies and gentlemen, just refresh my memory, because I'm getting old, I'm 35 now, so my memory is not quite what it used to be. But is this the same Cenk who used to attack Jimmy Dore and other leftists for even discussing the possibility of unity with conservatives along issues that we agree on? Is this the same guy? Did I imagine that the last, 8 years? Did I imagine that? Did I imagine Cenk having a meltdown in 2016, pushing Russiagate for the next 4 years, attacking the DNC fraud lawsuit against the Democratic Party, and more specifically, as he so kindly referred to them as, the Democratic establishment that he's supposedly against, the DNC fraud lawsuit against them that he attacked, and then he attacked anyone who attacked the establishment. He was effectively an attack dog for the establishment. And he says, like, getting money out of politics is an issue that we all agree on. I would say the majority of people actually agree on that issue. But once upon a time, if I or somebody from RBN or Jimmy or like anybody would say, yeah, that's something that we can work together with populist conservatives on, or election integrity, for example, another issue that a lot of us would agree on, he said that we were nuts, that we were fascist sympathizers, that we are neo-Nazi sympathizers. So now, because the Democrats, this is just my opinion, because the Democrats have shown that they don't have their shit together, because how long have I been saying this, y'all? They have no bench. There is nobody up next. There are people who want to be the next Hillary, maybe not the next Biden, but like the next Bill Clinton, the next Barack Obama. There are people who feel like they deserve that opportunity, including AOC, for example. However, what makes that power network of the Clintons, the Obamas, etc. What makes them so significant in the Democratic Party is the fact that they attained their power before they stepped foot in the Oval Office. Nancy Pelosi is probably top 3, or at least at one point was top 3 most powerful people in the Democratic Party, never stepped foot in the Oval Office. Didn't have to. Controlled everything from outside. You get what I'm saying? Like, Nancy Pelosi could literally control, more or less, if you had a chance to make it to the Oval Office. That's power. Nobody right now in the Democratic Party has any type of power that would make a person like Cenk, who normally bends the knee to the establishment, say, all right, I'm gonna get in line like I normally do. So you're basically seeing the cockroaches scatter because the kitchen lights turned on and the Democrats have been exposed. That's what I feel. Because he talking about, I've always been a populist. No, you haven't, Cenk. You haven't. You've been a raging neoliberal. Like, if he would have been, if you would have started out the conversation with, yeah, look, these were my views. I was a liberal. I did believe in the Democratic Party. I was extremely anti-conservative. These were the reason why. This is the reason why I'm changing my opinion on a lot of the things that I used to believe. Then you know what? All right, I don't really trust you, but I guess we can have a conversation. Let me hear where you're coming from to figure out if it's valid. No, you go sit here and look all of us dead in the face and be like, I've always been a populist. The establishment's always been my enemy. I know they've been paying my bills. I know I've been echoing every single Democratic establishment talking point and even some Republican establishment talking points, if we're being completely honest. Every single CIA talking point. We're going to talk about Syria in a little bit. He's echoed every single CIA talking point about Syria. Like, you talking about the establishment's always been your enemy. You literally, like, you are the establishment, bro. That's who's paying your bills. You freak out when the establishment loses. So I know I've seen some of the videos from Anna too, and I don't feel like you know, her change of heart is just like a matter of, oh, I just genuinely, I don't believe that. I believe that it's a matter of inconvenience too, but less so than Cenk, because Anna has kind of been on this little path. She's kind of like been on like an anti SJW war path over the last year and some change. I don't believe that she actually had, like, she's evolved or something like that. I think that she's pissed and tired of being on a losing team. And then some things she just couldn't ignore, nor could she justify hurting her stardom to continue to support. Like, she couldn't justify hurting her stardom to continue to support the Democratic Party, who is not putting up winning players. That's what I feel. I don't necessarily believe she's genuine either, but probably a little bit more genuine than Cenk, because hell, some of the stuff she's been saying for a year and a half. Cenk woke up yesterday and started saying this shit. Sean Taylor, naming my favorite defensive back. Rest in peace. But appreciate you for the super chat. Good luck.
Wing friends don't understand. They think you guys are all MAGA, and MAGA means it's a cult, and they think you're defeated. And so billions and trillions of dollars, and they're going to make a huge comeback in the 2028 primaries. But on the Republican side, they've largely been defeated. And so here's what my left-wing friends don't understand. They think you guys are all MAGA, and MAGA means it's a cult, and you're never going to disagree with Trump. You're never going to disagree with each other. And that you are like their father's Republicans, but you're not their father's Republicans. And so our side, I've been at.
Y'all. This is why I need a vacation, because it's some bullshit. Did he say that we're the ones who think like that? Cause I mean, y'all correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like I'm one of a few, at least, that have had to constantly repeat myself, George Galloway, Glenn Greenwald, Nick, Sabby, we're like, yo, why y'all think that every Trump supporter is a raging like cultist? Like, not every Bernie supporter was like that. I wasn't like that. Not every but also simultaneously, when y'all do act like cultists in the cases of like Joe Biden, for example, Kamala, or the Democratic Party in general, y'all don't want to admit that you're being cultists, but people like Cenk will literally refer to MAGA people as cultists, as to conservatives as cultists that were uncritical of Trump. And I'm like, no, I know I've had people on my show that were critical of Trump. And he's like projecting. He's like projecting everything that he was doing onto the actual leftist populists who challenged the bullshit that was coming out of Cenk's mouth, who challenged him on the accusations that he's making right now, or he says that the left is making. No, Cenk, you're conflating what liberals like yourself are doing and leftist populism. We weren't leftist populists. We're not doing none of that. We were trying to tell you, stay away from that line of thinking because it's dangerous, it's cultish, and it's not further the cause. You can still challenge your adversaries. You can correct them where they need to be corrected. But that's not the same thing as just outright personally attacking people ad hominem because they disagree with the candidate that you chose. This is crazy. Like, and I don't know, maybe Pat, Pat ain't really all that genuine himself. So it's just, I'm kind of surprised that he's letting him just riff like this. Like, yeah, man, this is how I've always felt, man. Like all of a sudden, Cenk sounds like Jimmy, but he's just not screaming and his jokes aren't funny. Like, that's just wild to me.
And trying to get them to realize that Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, all these folks that take the money, they're not on your side. They're on the establishment side, right? And for you guys on the right, when I used to debate you, and I don't mean you guys in specific, I mean in general, all I would get is wall-to-wall talking points. Oh, Mitch McConnell knows what he's doing. Oh, John Cornyn is the best. Oh, George Bush, Dick Cheney.
Bruh, I don't even remember him debating people who thought like that. I know a lot of conservatives who hate Mitch McConnell. A lot of conservatives most of them hate Dick Cheney. Hell, they hated Liz so much that they voted her out in her own primary. She didn't even get to make it past the Republican primary. Like, what? What is he talking about? This is crazy to me. Y'all see why I had to cover this, right? Like, this part of the interview is what got me more than probably anything. Because there's no way you can watch this and think he's genuine. There's no way you can watch this and think anything other than, wow, this man must be out on bad times. He got some bad luck. The finances ain't financing. The math ain't mathing. He got some accounts to pay. That's the only thing I could take away from this, because this is some bullshit. I don't know how else to refer to it.
Et cetera. And we've been around forever. We're the longest running show in internet history, right? We're the first YouTube partner channel ever. That makes me like the original YouTuber, right? Oh, wow. And so I battled the Cheneys. I battled all those guys in the Bush years, right? And then I hit Obama from the left, and people got super mad. I mean, that's part of the reason why I had the huge blowout with MSNBC, and I left MSNBC because they didn't want me to hit Obama, and they didn't want me to hit the Democrats. So I've been doing that from day one. And guys, today, I think that, we could do something historic. I think that we could actually unite the left flank and the right flank. And I've got a model for how to do that, and I want to run it by you guys. I've got a couple of rules for the internet that I want to run by you guys. Rules sound bad, right? But hold on, I think you're going to like these rules. And then I want to see, hey, is there a couple of things that we can unite on right now on this show, make the show a little bit historic, and say, hey, this is what the internet thinks. This is what the populists of the right and the left think. Let's go tackle the establishment and make it happen.
Okay, so before we do that, can I ask you a couple questions?
Of course.
So for you, election night, we had you on, you came, you spoke, you're a fiery guy, you're a true believer, you're a guy that we've all seen you. You're not a guy that you actually are not acting, like you actually believe what you believe in, and you actually get upset. You really are upset, right? So
this is what I meant by, like, Patrick Bet-David, either he's naive or he's just as disingenuous as Cenk is, because we know that that Cenk acts his ass off. That boy will act. He really do be getting mad. Like, I do agree with that. But like, he don't get mad for genuine reasons. He gets mad just to be mad. He gets mad whenever someone challenges him or contradicts him. He doesn't believe in anything enough to get genuinely upset and passionate without acting. Like, I don't believe shit that come out of Cenk's mouth. Even this right now, like, are you kidding me? You've watched Cenk over the last 4 years, the last 8 years, really, and your takeaway from everything Cenk has shown you is you're a very genuine guy. You know, the things that you believe in, you actually believe in. Motherfucker, Cenk don't even know what he believe in. How do you believe that he believes in the things that he believes in when he don't even believe in the shit he believes in? Come on, Pat.
I know it's going to sound weird. I think there is an element of Alex in you. There's an element of you in Alex. I know you don't want to hear that part. I'm telling you as a person that's a viewer.
It's true.
You guys have been on both for a long time, and you guys have both been hated by opposing sides. And I think you guys have a lot of similarities from the messaging that you believe in. Now, you may not agree with each other, but that's the messaging. What do you think with all these ideas? Like, you know, sometimes for me, I'm running a business and I have some ideas. I create a comp. And the comp is not growing the company. But I said, it's the right comp. A year later, nothing's happening. But it's the right comp. 2 years later, 3 years later, 5 years later, nothing's happening. Then you have to sit there and say, by yourself, and this is not easy to do. I've shut down my channel twice for 3 months because I sat down with Mario and I said, look, the last 100 videos, we haven't had any views that get 100,000 views. Why is that? We only had 2 of them. And we had 40 videos over 1 million views. Why have our last 100 not performed? We kind of talked about that a little bit when I was on your show as well. And then we shut down. We're like, okay, let's regroup. Watch those videos they used to do. Watch this here. What's happened with the climate? What's changed? Is the market pivoting? You're not. Are you with your values and principles that you had, the results? For you, what did you notice where you said, maybe I was wrong with these principles that I thought were the right way to think about? I know I was right about this. This is the one thing that whether.
Now that's an actual interview question. Bravo. Finally. Because if he would have let him slide on that, we was gonna have some problems. All that like he basically is trying to he's trying to use his personal situation to relate to Cenk so that Cenk doesn't feel like he's attacking him. He's like, look, man, I had to admit that some of the shit I was putting out was trash too. And I had to take a step back and reflect. It's okay to do that. If you're making a pivot because of the market, you know, let's talk about that. Because that's what it is. I mean, are we am I bullshit? Right? That's what it is. His market, the views for TYT dropped. They were already being upheld and propped up by YouTube's algorithms, but even with the help of YouTube, they were suffering. They were getting mostly criticisms in the comments. I mean, y'all remember what has been going on the last couple years. Y'all remember what happened on even election night. Like, it got so bad that Emma left. I mean, it ain't like CMC to do much better, but my point is, even Pat's like, look, dog, let's keep it a band. This ain't like it's not out of altruism. Like, Cenk, you are making a business move. Basically is what he's saying. That's my takeaway anyway.
Whether I'm right or wrong, I'm not compromising. It's my conviction. But I know I was wrong about these 2 things. Is there anything that you personally went through?
Yeah, there's a tiny on policy, but more on how to react to the right wing, which is a really, I think, interesting conversation. So look, I get why the left is skeptical, because what happens is usually there's a pattern, and unfortunately some former TYT hosts have done this, where they beseech the right wing. They start agreeing a little bit and then a lot, and then next thing you know, they're pulling a Reuben or eating a Reuben sandwich. And I don't eat that, right? And I don't do that. But what has happened to the core of your?
No, he just did it. Like, he did the same thing as Dave Rubin. He just became a neoliberal instead of a neocon. And he hides behind leftist populism the same way that Dave Rubin hid behind being a classical liberal. It's the same shit, right? It's like Ben Shapiro is a right wing SJW, right? Like you're still an SJW. It's just that you're the context of your social justice warriorism is just in the context of Zionism and far right lunacy. That's the only difference. So he's like, he keeps it just I can't stand the fact that he keeps doing this. Like, some people do this. I don't do this, but there have been people on my show who have. Motherfucker, that's you. You is you people. You is the people. Good God.
Question. So there's tiny things around policy, like I believe in no cash bail, right? So if two guys commit a sexual assault, one is poor and one is rich, the rich guy pays bail, gets out, the poor guy can't. And by the way, they're accused. It's alleged, right? You don't know, but the poor guy stays in jail for mainly being poor. So it makes sense to be for no cash bail. But what wound up happening is California, for example, reduced some felonies to misdemeanors, which they didn't really tell us. It was in a prompt measure. I voted for the prompt measure, but they never actually said in the ballot measure, we're going to reduce penalties for these crimes, which are some significant crimes. And when you combine the two things, repeat offenders kept getting out of jail and doing another crime and another crime and another crime. And I realized, okay, wait a minute, we got an issue here. So on no cash, first of all, on the issue of taking the felonies to misdemeanors, once we found out what was going on, I'm like, look, I've been to every progressive convention there's been and every progressive conference, talked to every leader, etc. I never heard anyone say, let's take felonies and turn them into misdemeanors. I don't know where the hell that came from, right? So I said, okay, now that I see that, okay, if you commit...
Actually, there are, I mean, if we're just strictly speaking about like drug offenses that are felonies, then the majority leftists, actually the majority of populists and libertarians all agree like those drug offenses shouldn't be felonies. So he ain't talked to all the progressives because that's a pretty basic ass conversation that we all agree on. So, but okay, Cenk, I'll let you cook, guy. Even though you're taking 38 minutes to answer the fucking question because you still haven't, but all right.
Offenses, then you're a repeat offender and you have to put up a cash bail. Okay. So if you're a guy, oh my God, geez, son, you got accused and you didn't do it. Okay. No cash bail. Right. But if you do it 3 times, you got to put up bail. No question. And now we voted in California for Prop 36. And I made the position against what you guys would call extreme left or radical left. I'm trying to call them max left now to be respectful, right? But those guys said crime is imaginary. And I said, no, crime is not imaginary. Crime is definitely real. And crime is going up. And guys, if we don't do something about putting these folks in jail if they're repeat offenders, we're going to lose everybody. And they said, you're nuts. That's not going to happen.
Calm down, y'all. Calm down. Espera aí. Hold up. Who the hell said crime doesn't exist? Where does he meet? Now, I know California be on some shit sometimes, and we gonna leave it there because he doesn't really answer the question. I know, ladies and gentlemen, California can be on some shit. I do. I know. I do not like being in California. I stay far away from it as humanly possible when I can. But I even know people who deny the amount of crime that happens in California or various cities around the United States. I know people like that. I've never heard anyone just be like, crime is imaginary. There is no crime. No one said that. That's not a thing. I would like to see the videos of anyone of any significance, any respectable thought leader saying, yeah, crime is imaginary. He just made that shit up. He just literally made up a story off the top of his head to avoid answering a question, basically to understand, where have you evolved? Because you're not even saying where you evolved. You're trying to give us another thing that you supposedly always believed in with a caveat at the end. Like, yeah, I believe that if you do it 3 times, then you should have to pay cash bail. Like, I don't believe in a selective cash bail system. I believe that, no, actually, wrong. I believe that if you commit a white collar crime, then you actually should pay cash bail. That's my exception. That's about it. Other than that, it's either use cash bail or not cash bail. I'm not going to overcomplicate the process, because white collar crimes generally require a lot of investigation before you even get to the point of someone being arrested. This isn't like motherfuckers like cops showing up to your hood and literally just picking people off, hoping to get the big fish, because that's what usually happens. But outside of that, like cash bail, we shouldn't have cash bail. Like that's just how I feel about it, except for white collar crimes. But he didn't even answer the question. Whatever answer you just gave is bullshit, because progressives never say like cash doesn't, or it's not cash, excuse me, that crime doesn't exist. That crime is imaginary. We've never said that. In fact, I would say that all of us actually have gone out of our way to say it's ridiculous, the crimes that are punished and the crimes that are forgiven. I think that's kind of more acute what we say. Like that's a little bit more in line. Like, damn, that's crazy that y'all out here putting people in jail for 25 years for weed, but some guy who just robbed a group of retirees of their pension through whatever Wall Street fuckery he participated in is about to walk free. That's what we say. I can't take this type of fake evolution, guys, is dangerous. It is very, very dangerous. And it's like reminiscent of what I saw TYT do in 2016. And this is whenever I used to watch TYT back in the day. Feels like literally a lifetime ago. But like, I remember how influential they got by pretending to be leftist, by pretending to be populist. I remember how influential they became by pretending to be on the side of the working class. And then when that influence was concretorialized, when it was cemented, they used it to fuck the movement. They were way better at it back then, though. They're not as good at it right now. I ain't gonna lie to you. Because the problem with all these fake people, with people like Cenk, the problem is that like we got history now. We have YouTube, we got the videos, we got the internet. We have so much content to point to. We have so much history to point to that you can't act like this is who you are. There was no evolution. This has always been who you've been. And like, no, we got the information, bro. We got the history. We got the receipts. And it's important that as people, for anybody who's watching this video who might see, maybe I've never watched TYT. I know there's a lot of new people, a lot of outraged young people who are now coming to YouTube, going to TikTok, Instagram, wherever to get their news. And I need y'all to know, if you're watching this video, these type of people are not to be trusted. Cenk is not to be trusted, because I was a young person once upon a time. Still had gray in my beard, but I was still young. And I remember all these people who pretended to be allies, who said the same things that you're saying. You thinking, wow, this person has no reason to lie, and they're agreeing with me. And then when they hit that pivot, you've built this kind of like this connection with them because maybe they've introduced you into politics in some way, form, or fashion, right? They become part of your daily routine. Somebody you actually believe in as a person, you felt was a genuine person. And when they hit that pivot, you pivot with them. Or at the bare minimum, you become afraid to challenge them. And we saw a movement fractured. Not only the movement itself, but the activists and the voices that were leading the movement. Everything became fractured. People's careers got hurt. Friendships got ended. The movement, it became about who was genuine, who was lying, who wasn't. It became about everything else except for moving forward in progress. And it was because of shit like this that Cenk is pulling. Whereas, I've always been a populist. What do you mean? This is who I am. Sparky, what's going on, man? Thank you very much for the super chat. Will Sultan Erdogan of the Neo-Ottoman Empire use his leverage on Israel to redeem himself in the Muslim world? He can cut off their oil or use his albeit limited control in Syria against them. Hell no. Erdogan, boy, you know Turkey's already out here planning which part of Eastern Europe they're about to take over. Like, We're gonna talk about that in a second. But yeah, no, he's more than likely to help Israel than do anything to challenge them. Like, if I'm being real. So yeah, man, I just had to show y'all a little bit of that interview. You can watch the rest of it on Patrick Bet David's channel. But I mean, I'm just gonna lie. I ain't gonna lie, it's gonna piss y'all off. I'm gonna keep it a band with you. It's just gonna piss y'all off. You can go watch it, but I wouldn't recommend it. I do want to move on to our next topic, a very important one. Israel has somehow decided they are going to invade Syria again. And I say again because, as most of you all know, Israel helped in the operation to overthrow Assad. Israel has been bombing Syria. It's not news to us. However, the mainstream media was always very skeptical about covering it when it was happening in real time. Israel has wanted to overthrow Assad for quite some time. And it's not because which is actually kind of weird. It's actually weird because, you know, Israel always claims that one of its greatest threats is Islamic extremism. However, Assad is the total opposite of that. He's a secularist who wanted a secular government, which is dangerous to the West because they like dictators. And the West, and believe it or not, even Netanyahu, they prefer extremists and religious leaders, authoritarians. Counterintuitive, but it's the facts. That's why Israel never has beef with Saudi Arabia. That's why Israel never has beef with the UAE, the Emiratis. Like, they don't ever have beef with the people who actually have authoritarian, more or less, or royal governments. Even, you know how much, I think 90% of Jordan is Palestinian. And they don't have beef with them because of an authoritarian royalty there. So Israel works together with Turkey, or at least this Turkish-backed terrorist group, HTS, work together with the United States, who for some reason is also working with terrorist groups to overthrow Assad. The United States, along with their allies, install a literal terrorist to be the prime minister of Syria until March 1st. They don't say necessarily that there's going to be an election in Syria on March 1st. They just say that, I believe his name is al-Bashir. They just say there's going to be, let me just make sure. I think it's March 1st. Yeah, it's March 1st. So they just say that there's going to be, that's how long the transitional government is going to be in power. Now, you and I both know ain't going to be no goddamn election. So there's that. However, after Bashar al-Assad was overthrown, the United States has assured us time and time again over the last couple of days, peace has been restored, chaos has ended, there should be diplomacy, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So why is it then that Israel is bombing the shit out of Syria and basically conducting a ground invasion? Let me show you this article real quick. Because it should be more than a little bit confusing, because it's more than a little bit confusing to me. So Israeli troop movements across the Syrian border and strikes inside the country must stop, UN Special Envoy Geir Pedersen said on Tuesday, amid reports that Israel pounded Syria with dozens of airstrikes in the last 24 hours. We are continuing to see Israeli movements and bombardments in the Syrian territory. This needs to stop. Now, just to be clear, everybody, this is the UN. They're not going to do shit. They're going to say a lot of what needs to stop, and they're just going to keep allowing Israel to do this without any type of penalty. So let's just go ahead and get that out the way. They're not going to punish them in any way. The strikes, which were reported on Monday and Tuesday in the northeast and around the capital, Damascus, targeted Syrian military installations, including multiple airports and a possible chemical weapons facility. It's always possible, huh? We're still waiting for proof of the chemical weapons. According to the two Western officials who spoke on the condition of anonymity to discuss a sensitive matter. It's always the anonymous people. Possible chemical weapons, anonymous. Can you confirm the intelligence? Maybe we can, maybe we can't. Who knows? Anyway, Lieutenant Colonel Nadav Shoshani, an Israeli Defense Forces spokesperson, declined to comment Tuesday on reports, but said the IDF is doing our job to make sure that strategic weapons are not in the wrong hands. The IDF is not involved in what's happening in Syria internally, he said, adding Israel's interest lies in protecting our borders and security of our civilians. Israel also deployed troops across the Syrian border beyond the UN-monitored buffer zone for the first time since the official end of Yom Kippur War in 1974. The deployment follows the fall of President Bashar al-Assad's regime to rebel forces. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a couple questions that an observer, conscientious observer, might have. So you said that because they bombed the naval fleet in Syria, they're invading parts of Syria that they're not even supposed to be in. Okay. You're destroying armaments in Syria. You have troops, literally troops on the ground in Syria. My question is, if the United States just came out and confirmed everything is under control, if the United States just put in a new prime minister, it is literally their puppet. It is a terrorist from Al-Qaeda who they put in charge. It's their guy. Whose hands are the weapons about to fall in? I mean, because I would agree, yeah, we don't want those weapons to fall into the wrong hands, but it's because I don't think that the weapons should fall into terrorist hands. But also, I would have never installed a terrorist to be the prime minister of a country after conquering the government. Also, if the United States installed this leader, ladies and gentlemen, why are you attacking Syria? You're sending troops inside of Syria past the buffer zone. So they're taking it a step further than they already had, ladies and gentlemen. And you're saying this is about protecting Israel, but it's the United States who installed this leader. He's not going to attack y'all. Also, we know that Israel has a ton of a friendly relationship with Islamic extremists, so I don't know what they're so worried about. But outside of all that, the United States installed this guy. The United States installed this government. Why would this government attack you? Anybody got a guess? I'm at a loss for words. I don't understand the justification for this, but it goes even further than that. Mr. Terrorist Prime Minister guy, you were supposedly put in charge after Assad was overthrown for the benefit of the Syrian people. You were there to make sure the Syrian people are safe from Assad and just in general. Have you actually done anything to stop these attacks? Because there's not any news about it, actually, in case you guys were curious. He hasn't said anything. We haven't heard anything about a counterattack. He just let an entire naval fleet that would have belonged to him because he's currently the prime minister. He just let an entire naval fleet get destroyed. He let his borders get crossed. You're telling me you had the capability to conquer a government from the inside, damn near. Because they didn't do it from the outside. But that's just a long conversation for a different day. But you had the capability to conquer a government that was able to withstand Western imperialism for a decade almost. but you couldn't stop Israel from destroying your fleet and destroying your weapons caches? So what do you, I'm confused. I mean, shit, at this point, if Assad wanted to go back with his clique and take it back, I guess that would be possible. But my point is, how are you protecting the Syrian people by letting Israel invade your country and not doing anything about it? And how are you going to convince you, because you damn sure ain't about to convince me, but how are you going to convince the world that you're not allowing Syria to do this? I'm not Syria, excuse me. How are you going to convince the world that you're not allowing Israel to do this? Because what it looks like to me is that the new leader of Syria is handing Syria to Israel. And that this entire operation from the beginning has been the United States facilitating what they like to refer to as Greater Israel. Just handing Syria over to Israel and doing their bidding, because that's all the United States ever does in the Middle East. That's all they ever do. Anything we've done in the Middle East has been for the benefit of Israel. And we just happen to also benefit from it. But principally, we do what Israel asks us and tells us and mandates us to do. I mean, bro, it ain't just that he's letting it happen. It's the confusion to me. It's the fact that effectively Israel helped to install this particular government, guys. Are they really gonna sit here and be like, nah, man, we ain't got nothing to do with none of that? Look, people even giving them credit for it. Let me put up this article for you guys. Syrian opinion is from the 9th. Syrians also have Israel to thank for their liberation. Bro, what? They ain't even giving y'all credit for the shit. They're giving y'all credit for helping to install this new government. They talk about how, well, first of all, this article is, as you can probably imagine, it's shit. It's garbage. The person who wrote it is an idiot. Like, it's a good thing that Syrians are principal agents of their own liberation. That's crazy. I didn't know that Turkish militants and terrorists from outside of the country of Syria are Syrian, but whatever. It said, it talks about how Israel's retaliatory strike in late October on key facilities left it too weak and exposed to save Assad. Iran is now rapidly withdrawing its troops. It's now rapidly withdrawing its once considerable military presence in Syria. Cut off from its military supply chain, Hezbollah has never been in a more precarious position, giving Lebanese people their own rare opportunity to bring this terrorist militia to heel and restore their sovereignty. Mind you, Hezbollah is an elected government body. I don't know why they always act like Hezbollah is like this terrorist organization. Hezbollah is a fucking political party, guys. I don't know what to tell you guys. It is literally a political party. But whatever. And restore their sovereignty like Lebanon doesn't have sovereignty. They do. But they said after the de facto decades of Syrian and Iranian occupation, they're saying that Iran and Syria have been occupying Lebanon now. And that it's because of Israel that Syria has been able to overthrow, or that Assad was overthrown, and that Syria is now liberated and saved. And even though the person that they wanted out is currently gone, he's out. He's in Russia now. He's unfortunately probably going to be forced to live there for his own safety. Russia's seeking to get him citizenship right now. But you're now invading the country that you just, quote unquote, helped to liberate because you're protecting yourself from the government you helped to install? Somebody want to explain to me how that shit works? How does that work? Let me read these super chats, and then I gotta read y'all this tweet that somebody put up. Sparky, thank you very much for the super chat. As long as Israel has cash or something to trade for the oil, Erdogan will keep bringing the cash register. Absolutely. Rather than redeeming himself, he may win over the Muslim world by literally winning them. He gonna try it, but there's gonna be a point where he and Israel clash in order to like. There's the only way it works. Like because we know that Israel wants to rule the Muslim world, or at least where the Muslims live at. So I don't know, man. Seems like the deal is Erdogan gets part of Syria and Israel gets the other part. That is exactly what I think is happening. That's exactly what I feel like is happening, actually. People say Syria is the bridge for weapons from Iran, but Hezbollah probably already uses alternate supply routes. Yeah, for sure. It's also a bridge for oil and gas. There's that too. But yes, let me see if I can find this tweet. Because I saw a tweet that was just like, it reminded me that Zionists are the dumbest motherfuckers on the planet. The dumbest. This man said, Israel is destroying Assad's navy to prevent it from falling into the hands of Al-Qaeda spinoff that just sees Syria. Israel keeps the world safe. My guy, Israel helped this Al-Qaeda spinoff seize Syria. The Navy would have, the naval ships rather, would have went to the government that they helped. How do Israel, you're not keeping the world safe. Like I said here, Israel destroying Assad's navy to prevent it from, check notes, falling into the hands of the government they literally helped to install. If they wanted to keep the world safe from terrorist extremists, maybe they shouldn't have helped install a terrorist. Right? If that was such a major concern for you, are y'all trying to tell me that Israel didn't want this outcome? Because as far as the people who have been installed in leadership of Syria, you're trying to tell me that they didn't want this outcome? Of course they did. If they didn't want this outcome, it wouldn't have happened because the United States doesn't do anything in the Middle East without clearing it with Israel first. Of course they did. Do you guys actually believe that this guy, this new leadership is a threat when Israel is beating the shit out of them right now, taking whatever they want? He's not even doing anything about it. He's not even doing anything. He's letting it happen. U.S. hasn't condemned him, hasn't talked about it. They're like, damn, that's crazy. Yep. Yeah, man. So like, what about your new guy that y'all just installed? Like, is he gonna do anything? Yeah, man. That's wild what Israel's doing, bro. Like, man, but at least we got Bashar al-Assad, right? At least we got him. Yeah, but you said it was for the good of the Syrian people. So like, are you gonna help? You're gonna talk about this? Or, man, but we got Assad. Okay. And now what? What do you mean now what? We got Assad. Like we did Gaddafi. I see how that turned out, right? That turned out great. This fucking open slave labor, open slave markets, a fucking terrorist network, human trafficking is booming. But other than that, Libya is doing just fine. They wanted Assad out so they could do this. So Syria could take its part, like our good friend Sparky said, probably so Turkey could take their part. Because Turkey has believed that for a while, for a long time, that Syria is part of Syria belongs to Turkey. Hell, there was a news show that in Turkey that was just like casually talking about the parts of the Middle East and Eastern Europe that they were going to take, like Armenia, I think part of Greece. Like, it's some crazy shit, bro. Like, what the fuck is going on? And like, bro, people think I'd be exaggerating when I say like, nah, Joe Biden like the worst president of my lifetime. I don't personally believe. I think that Trump is a problem. I think that Trump is not some altruist. I don't believe he's as anti-war as some of his supporters think he is. I do believe he's unpredictable, and with that unpredictability comes chaos, and with chaos sometimes the light shines through and people get exposed. I do believe that. But like, I don't believe that he could have fucked up this bad. He wouldn't have let all this happen. Am I safe to say that at least? Can we at least admit, like, bro, Trump is out here trying. He said, yo, man, we gotta get a peace deal with Zelensky, man. Like, Zelensky, you gotta sit down with Putin. We gotta do a ceasefire. First of all, you need to sit down, you need to talk things out, and we need to achieve peace in the region. Trump actually put that out on Twitter, and he put that out on Truth Social. Zelensky came out and said the exact total opposite, of course. Nope, can't do that. You know what the Biden administration is saying? So, like, I feel like I'm pretty justified in believing that World War III, I wouldn't expect World War III to happen under Trump. That's literally, I said, whenever Biden got elected, my biggest fear is World War III. And I've been saying it since before he got elected. I've been saying it for the 4 years he's been in power. And everyone keeps saying, I think that you're exaggerating. I think that you're being hyperbolic. We're not going to, other than the silent World War III that we're already having, we're not going to have an open World War III. No, that's too much, man. You think that it's that, bro? What the fuck did we not just watch Syria get conquered? We got Palestine getting trampled. We got Syria getting conquered. They're still, by the way, trying to assassinate the liberation leaders in Africa, which doesn't really get discussed as much as it should be. There's so much shit happen. The war in Ukraine and Russia has now spilled over into other countries. Ukraine keeps ending up in fucking countries they shouldn't even be in, nor should they have the means to be in, because the United States is helping to fund they're helping to fund them in those other countries in order to overstretch Russia's military. Turkey is supporting militias against legitimate governments while and supporting Israel while simultaneously pretending like they're cutting off diplomatic relations with Israel. They literally just announced that, and then next thing you know, we find out they're helping work alongside Israel, or at least to benefit Israel. Iran and Israel, we don't know. Shit could be any day of the week. They gonna shoot missiles at each other. And we also know, by the way, especially, do y'all not believe if Israel gets control of Syria and their weapons and their military apparatus, where do y'all think they're gonna go? What do y'all think happens next? Y'all think they're just gonna take over Syria, take over their weapons, and just relax? Or do y'all think that they're gonna set up shop and start preparation to go to war with Iran? Just out of curiosity. And Lebanon again. Like, it's like Joe Biden and his administration, and probably more so his administration, because Joe Biden's a fucking empty shell of himself at this point. But it's like they're trying to make sure that World War III is started before Trump gets in office, because they're not confident enough that Trump will allow a World War III, an open World War III to take place. They just don't believe in him enough, man. They're like, yeah, man, you're a war hawk, but you're just not hawkish enough for us. You're not consistent enough with your hawkism, with your hawkishness. You're not balking enough. What's that peace shit that you're talking about, my guy? Peace? Can't get World War III through peace and negotiations and diplomacy. We need some boom boom. So what happens? Trump wins and they go balls to the wall to overthrow Assad. I personally have, no, I did. The only time I remember anything close to this is with Libya. Because with Libya, they had been going after Gaddafi for like a decade, almost 2 decades at that point, I believe. And out of nowhere, it was just like, woof. They swept in and somehow everything collapsed and they were able to get it. It was probably, once again, he got betrayed from the inside like Assad got betrayed from the inside. But with Assad, thank God he got out. But with this situation and the way it unfolded, it is, in my opinion, it is not a coincidence that like Biden loses. Because Israel has been bombing Syria. We know this. The U.S. has been trying to overthrow Syria. We know this. Terrorists have been working alongside Israel and the United States and even, in Turkey to overthrow Assad. We all know this. This is not news. The difference is they've never been successful. Not even come close. And they put all their eggs in this basket to overthrow Assad. No, and then Israel comes behind them to sweep up the fucking mess, knowing it's going to cause a power vacuum, there's going to be chaos there. Because, I guess because they feel like they're not in control of anything else, they at least got to overthrow Assad before he gets out and put somebody in power there, or before Biden gets out and put somebody in power there. Because that creates a level of instability that I'm not sure Trump has the ability to deal with. But y'all got to remember, too, Trump, even though he was stupid enough to bomb Assad without conducting an investigation after the alleged chemical weapons attack that never happened, he was trying to pull the CIA out of Syria. He wanted to stop the involvement in Syria, and then they kept trying to give him reasons to stay, but he was never keen on completely overthrowing Assad. He was never keen on that. And now they don't have to wonder whether or not he's going to play ball with the rest of the West in their ambition to overthrow Assad. They already got what they wanted. So that's another thing they took out of Trump's hands. Do you understand, ladies and gentlemen, this type of mission is not something that you would normally conduct before another president takes office. Because now the other president has to deal with the blowback. There's like a level of respectability that you have to, like, there's a level of, hey, we can't give the green light on something like this because we don't know how the next president wants to proceed. Just like they're greenlighting a bunch of shit with Ukraine, for example, even though Mike Johnson, I believe, came out and was like, we're not greenlighting anything for Ukraine because Trump wants to pivot and we need to figure out what he wants to do because he's going to be the president of the United States. Joe Biden's on the way out. And then they use stolen assets from Russia, 50 million in this particular case, 50 billion, excuse me, to send to Ukraine anyway. They're breaking all tradition to take every and anything out of Trump's hands. That's what it looks like. And after this situation, it's hard to see anything. I mean, y'all already know. It's hard to view the U.S. as anything but Israel's attack dog. And by attack dog, I mean Israel's bitch. That's it. That's basically all we are at this point. We don't even, like, bro, how you gonna... They said, now he should have known. Whoever this Bashir guy is, like, dog, come on, bro. You came from Al Qaeda, so you should know better than anybody. The worst thing, there's only one thing worse than being an enemy of the United States, and that's being an ally of the United States. Because they're going to set your ass up to take the fall. You are being set up. If they give you position of power, it's because your ass is being set up. And especially if you're in the Middle East, and especially if you're one of those Muslim extremists that the United States helps to fund. Your whole job is to be the fall guy. That is what y'all attack governments on behalf of the United States. You get whatever little bit of power you get, and then you're the target. And then we have all the intel we need on you because we're the ones who set you up for success. And then we take you down. And then everybody cheers like, yeah, look at those heroes. Not knowing that the reason we have all the intelligence that we had to take whatever terrorist organization out that we took out is because we propped them up to begin with. we provide solutions to the problems that we create. So, yeah, good luck with that one, my guy, because you're fucked. They're not going to attack Israel, and you are about to be. If they want you out of that presidential palace, if Israel they keep going deeper, they've asked Netanyahu, how long is this occupation going to be? Shit, beats me, as long as it needs to. So we don't know how deep they're going to go. We don't know how long they're going to be there, which probably means March 1st is coming faster than you think, my guy. And you probably ain't going to make it. You're not going to make it. No, you're not going to make it. And ain't no Russia coming to save you. You're not about to get out like Bashar al-Assad did. You are the fall guy. So, Sparky, thank you very much for the super chat. The ease and quickness in which woke Al-Qaeda took Syria may embolden them, where they're a Frankenstein's monster for their Israel and U.S. sponsor. Could be, but I don't know if I think that they're aware that it was an inside job. Like they've been trying to overthrow this, not just the fake Al-Qaeda, but these Turkish-backed rebels. They have been trying to take over Syria for like a decade, and then they were able to do it not because of firepower, but because of a breakdown from the inside, which unfortunately it happens, man. It happens. Thank God, like I said, thank God Assad got out. But if you know that the breakdown happened from the inside, and that's some just backhanded, underhanded shit that they would use to overthrow Assad, like you don't have the support Assad had. And you know that the United States is going to betray you the moment they get the chance to. So, like, it's time for, bro, like, you're done. You just got installed, and they already coming up with a way to get you the fuck up out of there, dog. Like, they handed you on a silver platter to Israel. And you didn't know that was going to be the plan. Whatever has happened in the Middle East, you can just assume that whatever it is, it's to benefit Israel. So, good luck. If you're the puppet that gets overthrown, even when it came to Iraq, y'all remember back in the 90s, Iraq invaded Afghanistan, or they tried to, not Afghanistan, excuse me. Iraq tried to attack Iran, and it was on behalf of the United States. That was really on behalf of Israel, right? They're like, Israel was like, yo, US, figure out how much firepower Iran got. And they got a lot of oil too, and like, we need to make sure that everything is cool. So, like, y'all go attack them. And we were like, well, shit, bro, we're not about to fucking attack Iran. We already see how it ends. Hey, Iraq, Saddam, real quick. You got beef with Iran, right? We want to take care of them for us, man. We're going to give you some weapons, give you some money, even send some of our troops there. Not a lot of them, but just enough to help facilitate the situation. Yeah, I got you. Oh, no, I do not got it. I do not got it. Retreat. Everything, every operation has been on behalf of Israel. And somebody's about to feel the effects of that. Erdogan may have a tiger by the tail with Syria. Israel destroys Syrian military infrastructure, to level the playing field so the various groups in Syria will fight each other for decades. Yeah, not unlike what we saw and are seeing in Libya. Should Iran attack the Iron Dome, aka the Iron Sieve, now, or wait and see what Trump's going to do? I think Iran. That's actually a good question. I thought you got to attack them now. Attack them while they're like, attack them while they're busy in Syria, right? I feel like that's the thing to do, especially because now. Okay, so here's the other problem with that. I don't know if y'all know, but Netanyahu just actually sat at his first corruption hearing. So he's the first prime minister in Israel's history to sit and to stand trial while he's active prime minister. So this attack on Syria also, just out of fucking convenience, probably means that Israel will have to leave Netanyahu in power and he will be unaccountable for all the crimes that he's committed just in Israel alone, just in Israel, right? All the corruption that he's participated in. He will probably dodge that for a little bit longer because Israel has a precedent that they don't have to hold elections. They can postpone elections if you're involved in an active conflict. So we know that Lebanon has officially ended, whatever. It's not true, but officially. The conflict with Iran supposedly has officially ended. So as this here, I think it was yesterday. If it wasn't yesterday, I think it was yesterday. He sat at a hearing and like 2 hours later, he's like, shit, bro, I need to start another fucking war. Hey, let's go ahead and attack Syria. It's the same. It's happened already. He did the same thing with Lebanon. How he just out of nowhere is like, yep, we're going to attack Lebanon. It's not like they've won. They haven't won in Lebanon. They didn't win. They killed a bunch of civilians like they always do. Hezbollah's still in power. He said they was going to stay in Lebanon until Hezbollah was out of power. Hezbollah's still in power. He's like, shit, okay, well, that's done. Iran, we're not fighting with them anymore. And they were like, finally, man, we can get down to business. Let's go ahead and hold this corruption hearing so we can hold Netanyahu accountable, hold an election, get him out of power, whatever. Yeah, man, so here's the thing. Whoop! We just started a war with Syria. Can't get me out yet. That's what just happened. I bullshit you not. Like, you can't make this stuff up. There's no coincidences when it comes to one, Israel, Netanyahu, the United States, how they move. Because I don't believe that Trump would protect Netanyahu in the same way Biden. They always be like, Trump is more Zionist than Biden. That is bullshit. I don't believe that. Trump believes he's a Trumpist. He supports whatever most benefits Donald Trump. For better or for worse. Sometimes, like people like they talk about when he gave when he moved the U.S. embassy. Yeah, okay, like that's like annoying. That's not the same thing as letting somebody commit a genocide. I feel like those are two different fucking categories. Whereas Joe Biden, everything that if he's ever had a criticism of Netanyahu, it's been behind closed doors and it's been leaked allegedly. If Trump has actually had criticism of Netanyahu and he said it in front of his fucking face. He's never let Netanyahu get out of control the way that he's out of control right now. So yeah, Trump is a Zionist. He got a bunch of Zionists in his cabinet. That was let's be honest. Is there anybody that is that wealthy and connected enough to Donald Trump that wouldn't be a Zionist? I'd never had any expectation of him not putting Zionists in his cabinet. I hope that nobody is surprised by that. Zero expectation of anything but Zionists. I just accepted that from the jump. It's bullshit still, but I accepted that. But they're like, Trump's gonna do everything that Biden wouldn't. What hasn't Biden done for Netanyahu? What hasn't he given Israel since he's been in power? He's given Israel literally everything they've asked for and some shit they didn't even ask for. So you just giving them for free. Hey man, hey, I'm about to head out, man. So let me just go ahead and break you off a little piece. Anytime someone says Israel is our only friend in the Middle East, I can't help but think before Israel, we had no enemies in the Middle East. John Sheehan. Yup. That's really it's which is crazy and ironic because if y'all know better, y'all know who our main ally was in the Middle East for a long time before Israel became Israel. It was Iran. That's just what makes all of this shit so ironic. Like Saudi Arabia wasn't really like that. Like Israel and the US were like, we were cool. We were developing our relationship, but it wasn't our relationship that kept the US economy flowing was Iran. We were doing weapons transactions with them, oil transactions with them, diplomatic relations with them. We would protect them in the area. And it's just crazy how everything just switched up like that. You would think that we had no allies in the Middle East, but all of a sudden all we have are enemies in the Middle East because of Israel. Because they've managed to convince half the world that they're always under attack, despite the fact it's actually them who's always attacking people. I want to talk about one more thing. Hold on real quick. Super Seamster Sewing Show. Oh, that's a lot of alliteration going on there. I rock with it. Keep spinning the truth, Niko. Respect, Bakersfield. I will keep doing so. As long as this tongue allows me to keep doing so. My baby actually tried to bite my tongue off the other day. I stuck it out at him and he has teeth now. Yeah, he's walking. Lodge is walking, by the way, in case y'all are curious. He just turned 9 months 2 days ago. But he started walking 3 weeks ago. He started walking maybe like 2 or 3 days before my mom came, which is funny because I had joked. I was like, Mom, you better hurry up and get here because I think he's about to start walking. She's like, that boy ain't about to walk in no 8 months. And he started walking. And then like he started walking for real once she got here. Like we got an Airbnb in Copacabana and this man he's walking around and exploring every room, like trying to figure out where everything is and like how to open doors. And he became aware, like, I guess because of the structure of the apartment was different than our house. So if I would leave the room, he immediately would stand up and like be behind me because he's like, yo, why are you not in the room? I need everybody to be together. Anytime I would leave the room, he would get up and he'd just be behind you and just be rocking. I'm like, yo, wait, I just came to the kitchen to get something to drink. Why are you behind me? He's staring at me. And he's waiting for me to go back to the living room. It's so wild as shit, bro. My son is crazy, y'all. I got like a little weird human adult baby like in my house. It's bizarre. I'm not gonna lie to you. Having a baby that walks at 8.5 months is not a normal experience because I have to put cages up everywhere. I can't have nothing. It's like I have a toddler who can't talk yet, even though he's like said like 3 or 4 words in both English and Portuguese now. But like, it's a toddler who can't talk, but can do all the things that toddlers do that are dangerous. It's a problem. Yeah, I am in trouble. You're right about that, Brandon. But it's a struggle every day. We tired. I'm telling you, everybody in this house is tired, boy. We just Lodge assist, bro. Every 5 minutes, that's all you hear. Lodge assist, what are you doing? Lodge, why are you in the garbage? Lodge, stop trying to open the door. Lodge. Yeah, he's also like figured out that the keys open up the doors. So he's like, we'll try to pick up the keys and put it in the keyhole. Luckily, he obviously doesn't know how to do that. But we can't even leave the keys in front of the door anymore. Like we can't leave the keys in the door because he'll try to turn it to get out the house. Yeah, it's wild. I don't know what's going on with that boy. I don't know what he just like had some weird spirit dream, and he's like, I'm an adult now. I think I want to walk and talk and open doors. And he like eats. He started taking that's my mom's fault because she started giving him food. Like she started like handing it to him when we weren't looking. So now he just takes our food when we're not looking. It's wild. Yeah. Anyway, so back to our last topic. China. I want to show y'all something that I want to show y'all China's response to the situation in Syria. Because some of y'all, if you've been around long enough, y'all know how I feel about China more or less. I don't hate China. I give them credit where credit's due, but also I'm a known skeptic of their intentions. And I'm not like that weird type of like, oh my God, China is a super imperialist nation. Like, no, I'm not like that. I'm not like super anti-China, like a neoliberal or neocon. But I'm just from a perspective of Pan-Africanism, of bilateral cooperation, and just a level of consistency that I expect from a country that claims to be allies with a lot of the global South. China's actions don't match their words. And I'm explaining what I mean in a second. So I want y'all to look at this response from China, its official response regarding Syria.
中方密切关注叙利亚局势发展，希望各相关方从叙利亚人民的根本利益出发，尽快找到恢复叙利亚稳定的政治解决方案。
谢谢。迪拜中央卫视记者提问：叙利亚总统巴沙尔的政权已结束。
叙利亚的前途和命运应当由叙利亚人民来决定。我们希望各相关方本着对叙利亚人民长远和根本利益负责的原则，尽快找到恢复稳定秩序的政治解决方案。中国对叙利亚的关系，或者跟叙利亚的友好关系，是针对全体叙利亚人民的。我们也在密切关注局势的发展，希望叙利亚能够尽快的恢复稳定。中方密切关注。
Yeah. So in case you missed it, she said a bunch of basically nothing. She said that the Syrian people should decide their future. The friendly relationship that China has had in the past with Syria is about the Syrian people. Not a word of condemnation, not real condemnation for the United States, their participation in overthrowing a government that was friendly with China. A government that was part of the BRICS coalition. I'm not gonna lie to y'all guys. I just think it's just time for China to shut the fuck up if they're not about to do anything. I'm over it. I really am. And like I said, I know a lot of leftists are gonna be upset at me for this. I don't really care anymore because I'm just like, I'm a person, I guess. I'm a type of person that's loyal to the soil. I'm a type of person that believes in actions. If China just sat back, handled their business, and I guess kind of acted like Switzerland, for example. Is it Switzerland or Sweden? I think it's Switzerland, yeah. Like everything, we just, hey man, we just get here to get our money. We don't want no problems. We ain't gonna cause no beef. Okay? We just work with everybody. Cool. Bet. All right. That's not what China does, though. China, like in the situation with Palestine, for example, will condemn what Israel does in Palestine. They'll condemn the genocide. Then they will continue to supply the U.S. contractors and the contractors that are in the weapons manufacturers with the supplies that they need to continue the genocide. What the fuck you condemning them while they're actively you're actively facilitating the genocide by providing the supplies needed because it helps your country profit. You're talking about, the friendly people. We're friendly with Syria. We're friendly. No, not only are you friendly with Syria, but Russia is one of your number one allies, and Russia was not only helping out Syria economically, but militarily, because that's what they needed from the same people, because they're protecting Syria and the interests that come along with Syria from the same adversaries that you're supposedly against. Russia literally putting blood on the line for their allies, for both of y'all's allies. And so not only do you not help, militarily. Okay, cool. You don't get involved militarily. Bet. But y'all do know that, for example, the Ukraine war would end today, not literally today, like in a week, if Russia stopped providing military supplies like that the manufacturers need to make the weapons that are being sent to Ukraine. You know that they would have to stop the war. They couldn't continue. That's a fact. If China stops, China, you can't scratch your ass or pick your nose without the CCP's approval. If China stops sending the materials needed to make the weapons that are being used in the genocide, that are being used against Russia, their principal ally, it would stop today. So we get a whole bunch of, we want world peace, we condemn this, we da-da-da-da, we da-da-da-da. I'm not saying that China is necessarily responsible for the Western imperialism, but what I'm saying is, if you're going to sit back and profit from the chaos caused from Western imperialism, you're profiting from the failings of the economies, the governments, and the people who are suffering. You're profiting from the fucking problem that you're helping to, like, and you're making money off. I'm confused. I just don't get it. Why do they keep talking? What is an ally at that point? Because China pretends to be, they're part of BRICS. They pretend to be an ally of the global South. They claim to be an adversary of the United States. But the only time that China does anything to remotely punish its number one adversary is never whenever that adversary is destroying the lives and the economies and the governments of their allies. It's only if they piss off China itself. So China, for example, they finally have cut off a couple of raw, rare materials from the United States. But it's only because had nothing to do with the fuck that's been going on the last 4 or 5 years with, I don't know, United States and NATO facilitating a war against Russia, constantly encroaching on the situation with Taiwan, genocide, I don't know, like Africa, right? I mean, I can give you a whole host of other shit that should have caused them to commence sanctions and stop the sale of this materials to them. No, but it was because China feels some type of way about the aggression that the United States has participated in regarding this little semiconductor beef that they have. That's the only reason why. Now, I can respect the fact that China is willing to do whatever they can for their people. I can respect that. I really can. Because at least if China does some shit, you know it's going to benefit all of China. That's for sure. That's a great thing. Not like the United States, who fucks over the entire world and it's just to benefit like 10% of the country and that's it. So I guess, like, okay, cool. But like, you see, Russia, even though they're handling themselves, right? They're taking care of themselves. But like, you see that your number one adversary, allegedly, is trying to obliterate your number one ally. And your number one ally is out there not only protecting itself and trying to protect its own borders, but it's trying to protect all of your other allies. And not just when it comes to the Ukraine situation, not just when it comes to Russia going out of its way to invite Palestine into BRICS, not just in Syria, but Russia has sent troops to Africa to protect countries that are actively working with China economically to help rebuild those nations after they took their countries back. And you ain't doing shit but talking and then coming, but hell, either before or after you talk or condemn, you come behind all the damage and chaos caused by what the United States and the Western Empire has done, and you just sweep up all the profits. Just sweep up all the profits. They go it. People keep talking about, oh, but look what they do with Africa. What, you mean they offer the one alternative? There's only one alternative. Like, what are those African nations going to do? It's, I work with China to help rebuild my nation, or I'm fucked. The United States is going to do whatever they do, right? Like they're going to try to overthrow my government again. We're not going to have the money. We're going to have to rely on the IMF again, which is going to basically, so you're basically relying on austerity again, and you're just going to end up repeating the same pattern that landed you in that position to begin with. So China comes, offers a loan or two, offers to take over some businesses, doesn't talk about the slave labor that happens in Africa, because they're profiting off of the slave labor in the Congo too, in case y'all were curious. The slave labor in the Congo that is largely made possible because of the action of the United States and the West. And there's no choice. These African nations, for example, simply have the illusion of choice. It's, I have to work with China. I have to accept this money because the other option is I'm in perpetual debt to the Western Empire. At least this way, maybe the US will stay off my ass because they know we're involved with China's economy. So it's one thing to not want to get involved militarily. It's one thing to even stay neutral in situations. But China's not staying neutral. They're pretending to give a fuck and just making a bunch of money while doing it. While their allies, the people that they claim are their allies, are getting fucked over. And they're one of the very few countries around the world that has the military capability, if they wanted to use it. But more importantly, they have the economic capability to exert power and influence to help the allies, their allies, and most of those allies being the global South, they have the economic influence to exert. They have the economic influence to exert power in assistance of their allies, and they don't do it. They could have influenced the outcome of this genocide so far. They haven't done it. They could have helped their number one ally, at least from a strategic perspective, in Russia, when it comes to this Russia-Ukraine war. They haven't done it. They could have helped Syria under crippling sanctions that they're under, that they were under, rather. Because now we don't know what the hell's about to happen, but they didn't do it. And when they finally do come and they help out a country that fucking liberated itself with no help of China, they come, set up their fucking shops, and make all the money. And yeah, those countries are making more money and they're in a better situation. But like, what's better compared to being piss poor? Of course it's better. Like, yeah, we're at least some of our money's coming back to us. Thank God. Like, that's basically that's what the situation is. Of course they're going to accept that. That's much better than the US coming in taking everything with their military. Okay, cool. But let's not pretend that China has been an ally of the global South. And it's time that we started calling them out as like the leftist community, the anti-imperialist community. Even for all you super staunch communists out there, especially y'all. Because like we still need to address this conversation that nobody wants to have. Everybody keeps talking about, yeah, China was able to lift its people out of poverty. That's great. But like y'all forgot that they engaged in rabid capitalism to do that. Literally, NAFTA made China what it is today. The US just, here you go. I know we said that you're our enemy, but here you go. Here's all the tools you need to be the richest country in the fucking world. They engage and partook in and propped up rabid capitalism, the most toxic kind of unregulated capitalism, to achieve what they've been able to achieve economically. Like that did not disappear. We can't erase that part of history. And we need to start having this conversation about China, because as much as I can respect what they've done for their people, and I do, there's the other side of the coin. And the truth is, there is more than one kind of imperialism. There isn't just hard power, I'm gonna punch you in the face if you don't give me your lunch money imperialism. There's hey man, you want to be friends? I got some popsicles in my basement. Like pretending to be an ally and playing both sides while being neutral. That's like snake shit, honestly. So I'm not rocking with it. I feel like it's time we start calling that shit out. There's a lot of countries that let me down regarding the genocide that happened in Palestine. But this situation in Syria is crazy, because I'm like, bro, your allies got punched in the mouth just now. And your adversary is the one who did so. And your adversaries are about to wreak havoc in that region. And honestly, it probably is not for the benefit of China. But they don't want to upset anybody. They don't want to commit. They don't want to be forced to commit to taking action. So they're just hitting us with this, yeah, man, we just think that the Syrian people should, they should decide who runs. Like, duh. What about your people that just got hit by terrorists that were supported by your adversaries? You got anything to say about that? Nah. But we just cashed another check. Ching! Can't rock with it. I can't respect it. Sparky, my sister walked at 9 months and taught herself to ride a bike without training wheels, without anyone knowing at 4. That's wild. That's crazy. I believe it though. I taught myself how to ride without training wheels. I was watching my neighbors ride, and the training wheels for some reason were throwing off my equilibrium. Like it was throwing off my balance. Like I always feel like I was about to fall when I would steer because bikes aren't made to be steered like that. They're made to lean. So whenever I had training wheels, I felt like I was about to fall all the time. And I couldn't ride fast. So I like, man, I'm taking these shits off. And I taught myself how to ride. Sparky, Assad refused help from Russia, Iran, and China over the last couple of years because he believed the West when they told him they will lift the sanctions if he refused their help. I don't know if you would say he believed them, but like, I guess he had to kind of like, they're like, yo, we'll give you help if you stop. And he was trying to do what was best for his people at the time, but I'm sure that he was still taking some help from them. Russia, Iran, and China all agreed to write off Syria since it was rotted from the inside and refused their help. Nah, Russia and Iran were in Syria. So that can't, China's different. China is China, but Russia and Iran have been helping Syria, especially Russia, for the last couple of years pretty fervently. They've been dedicated to helping Syria. Which is part of the reason why I feel like because of the intelligence from Russia, it's probably how Assad was able to get out and get to Russia so quick. It's a messed up situation. I do know that. China still sells drone parts and jammers to Ukraine. Yep, they surely do. It's funny to read Ukrainians' positive reviews on Alibaba. That's wild. Of course, Russia still sells oil directly to the United States too. Yeah, but Russia made clear while they're selling oil to the United States, they're selling oil for rubles. They're selling it in their own currency, right? So what Russia does and why they do it, and they're pretty clear and honest about it. Like Russia can sell oil to the United States and make money from it because Russia's oil does not make or break the United States. But selling Russian oil in rubles does significantly help their economy. The United States already has their own oil. You get what I'm saying? Like they already have their own oil. They could survive with, I don't know. Actually, I still to this day don't know why the hell the United States is still buying so many people, so much oil around the world. Outside of the fact that they maybe want people to be reliant on, they probably want people to be reliant on the income that comes from the United States buying their oil. That's the only thing I can think of. But that's like a different story than what China does. China, if they didn't participate, for example, people always get scared that China and the United States are going to go to war with each other. I always say that's ludicrous, at least not for the next 10 years or so, because the U.S. going to fight a war with all the weapons that China gives them and makes for them? Like, what? That's not how that works. That's not going to happen. But also, China, their economy is so symbiotic with the United States that they can't actually continue to make as much money as they would normally make. Their economy would take a massive hit if they went to war with the United States. The U.S. and China never put 100% sanctions on each other. Why not? They supposedly hate each other. The United States goes out of its way to conquer, literally conquer, anything that resembles a communist or a socialist government. But the country that calls it, they're literally the one party country that, and their party is the Chinese Communist Party. They're like, yeah, man, we're going to make exception this time. And not only are we going to make an exception with them, but then China makes exceptions for the United States, not just regarding NAFTA or Tesla, for example, which nobody really ever talks about. The fact that Tesla was allowed to continue to run and is allowed to exist in China without a Chinese partner. And it's the only company that isn't Chinese or owned by a Chinese person that doesn't require a Chinese partner to operate. And Tesla was allowed to continue operations during COVID, and no other company in China was allowed to. Or the fact that this biolab that was funded by the United States and the NIH was allowed to exist in China. The biolab that leaked COVID. Nothing happens without the CCP's approval, right? So if y'all hate communist countries that much, why are y'all just like, and if y'all hate communist countries that much, and China considers the United States such a great adversary, why is it that they always conveniently end up working for each other in ways that actually kind of screw us over? At least the people of the United States. I can't speak for everybody, but I do know that they be screwing us over. Every time the United States works with China, it screws us. Every time. NAFTA fucked us. China probably like, yeah, man, they probably worked with us in that particular situation because they knew that, like, yeah, it's about to weaken the hell out of the United States. Bet. But the problem on that side is like, y'all are communists, but y'all are engaged in rabid, unregulated capitalism. And I'm not saying like it didn't benefit China. Of course it did, but it's just a lot of contradictions going on here, ain't it? Just saying. A lot of contradictions. I don't expect China to be altruistic. I'm just saying, stop fucking pretending you are. Stop pretending like you care about these. Stop pretending like these people are your allies. These countries are your allies. Stop coming out with fake condemnations and empty words. Stop. And I cannot continue to have respect for China as they continue to profit off of the Western imperialism that they supposedly are trying to challenge. Like, China always seems to show up after the chaos when it's most profitable for them. Very rarely do they show up beforehand. Very rarely do they show up when they're most needed, whenever it be mutually beneficial. They show up and give this illusion of choice. And I just don't rock with it, man. And I feel like we as leftists, like, if we're going to keep it a band, we have to tell the truth. We can't, I know that there's a level of this just anti-China hate that doesn't even make any sense. that we don't want to entertain. And I get it that people become hesitant, like, oh, I don't want to engage in anti-China rhetoric because it's whatever, neoliberals, neocons. But that's not what we're talking about. And y'all know what I'm talking about. Y'all know what I mean. There's a difference. I'm not anti-China because China wants to take over the world or whatever the fuck, or China wants to take over TikTok through engaging the youth and turning them into pro-China sycophants. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about stop pretending like you're an ally to the global South that's suffering at the hands of Western imperialism while you're literally profiting from that Western imperialism and taking advantage of it, playing good cop, bad cop. The United States comes in, sweeps with military, and you come in like you're the economic savior. The whole time pretending like you condemn these actions, but doing nothing to actually stop them and exerting the power and influence that you have economically to stop the shit from happening to begin with. Because you could, and you don't. Sparky, you say taught yourself how to ride your bike at 4 or 2, but your parents knew. That's dope. I think I was about 4 or 5. I was at least 5. That's when I got my first bike. That's going to be it for today, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all so much for tuning into this live stream segment of For the People podcast. Like I said, I am glad to be back. I enjoyed my vacation, but I definitely missed you guys. Make sure y'all like the video. Make sure y'all share this video. You can support the show by donating through Super Chat, becoming a premium member of the channel. All the links are in the description. But principally, you can just like, share, follow us on Telegram. Follow me on Twitter. Go out there, go retweet us. Follow us on Hotspot, as you probably have noticed by now. Yep, back on Hotspot. Like I said, unfortunately, the vacation is over. But hey, somebody got to get the news. And I'm glad and thankful that you guys tune in to listen to me tell it. So with that being said, always remember, more than anything else, find your balance. See y'all on Mimosa Monday, people. Peace.